This 15-track album gave birth to at least 6 mega hits, and the songs you might not know are just as good. Welcome to numbers 41 through 45 of my top 100 albums of all time. We are cruising up this list, speeding towards number 1, but there's still a ton of great records to show off. If you don't know what I'm doing, in the description there's a full list of all the videos of this series and the intro explaining all the challenge rules. If you haven't already, it'd be awesome if you'd like this video, hit the red subscribe button, and turn your bell notifications on so you don't miss out on any weekly videos I put out. Number 45, Soundgarden, Superunknown. This is not the first Soundgarden entry on the list. In fact, it wasn't that long ago I had one, but this album for me is the best thing they've ever done. I feel like it tops Bad Motorfinger because it takes a band already doing something excellent and refines it and changes the sound enough to feel like a different experience while still being very obviously Soundgarden. A more honed yet equally powerful Chris Cornell croons and screams over really tight instrumentation. This album is grunge, but it is also, I don't know, art rock? It's a little different. It has a little more refined sensibilities to it than some of their previous releases. There are definitely moments of heaviness, as it is a grunge or grunge metal type record, but there are some really somber, contemplative moments like on Fell on Black Days and Black Hole Sun. This 15-track album gave birth to at least 6 mega hits, and the songs you might not know are just as good. This is a band that rarely, if ever, missed, and this was them circling the mountain of perfection. I have a rare pressing of this, which is actually pretty cool. It is an early press from the 90s on clear vinyl. It doesn't sound incredible, unfortunately. I got it because it was a collectible and I got it for a good price. As you guys know, as I've talked about in many videos, I am trying to track down the German 320 pressing. Hopefully this will be the year for it so I can hear this album as it was intended. Number 44, Vermillion Club, Home. Now I'm fully aware that for the majority of you, this album is not going to be on your top 100 list. For me, it holds a very special place in my heart because one of my best friends of all time made it, and the music holds up to this day. Not only does it transport me back to those moments when he was creating it, but every time I hear it, I find new things I love about it. It's morphing with me as I'm getting older. So Dylan Campbell, one of my best friends, released this in conjunction with Zeno Pittarelli, both amazing musicians that went to my college. The two of them called themselves Vermilion Club. It was mostly recorded in my apartment in Dylan's room, and I remember every time he would bring me a new song and be like, hey, check this out, my mind would just be blown. I was like, how can this album keep getting better? It's like Dylan is able to just create and craft these unbelievable compositions that are just so catchy and so unique. It's almost like second nature to him. Those vocal hooks just poured out of him effortlessly, and while he's not the strongest singer, his voice has enough of an element like Sufjan Stevens' voice, where I love how soft and gentle it is over the oftentimes crazy instrumentation. As you guys probably know, this was TMR2, the second record on my record label I started last year. As you can see, my logo's on the back. I am so proud that you guys were able to follow me on this journey and support this record, because now it has a physical release that doesn't only look amazing thanks to the wonderful art by Tanea, it sounds incredible too. And you know what? The disc itself is also beautiful. So if you want to take a peek at that, this is how it turned out. I love it. And if you aren't abreast of the TMR record label, I am putting out many more records this year, so make sure you're involved, you're following me on social media, you're in the TMR Facebook group, and of course I'll make videos about them on the channel. So don't wait, because now this is out of print and you can't get it. This album is indie pop that is just so damn earnest, and any lyrics that you can't relate to are just mystifying poetry. I love it. Number 43, Joao Gilberto's 1973 self-titled album, Joao Gilberto. The king of bossa nova, Joao Gilberto holds a very special place in my heart. This album isn't particularly interesting, and song by song, it doesn't really change up that much. But that being said, there's some kind of unique, calming energy about this that is a masterclass in what it sets out to be. Barely there whispery vocals and soothing humming over bossa nova guitar work, this album is so fragile and so perfect. This is a man who has had an incredibly successful career and left a massive legacy behind, inspiring dozens if not hundreds of other musicians. This is him at his best. This is the tightest, catchiest, and most beautiful group of songs that Joao put out in his whole career, in my humble opinion. And I think this is an excellent place to start if you're trying to get into Brazilian music, or bossa nova in particular. This is definitely the one I go back to the most often, and I would say this is probably my favorite Brazilian album of all time. If you can find an early pressing of this, I do advise grabbing it, because there are some reissues, but they just don't do it justice. splurge for the original. Number 42, coincidentally my favorite number, Nujabes, Metaphorical Music. Nujabes is magic. Pure and simple, that's the easiest way to describe his music. But I'm going to try to do it anyway. Uplifting, inspirational, and endlessly beautiful track by track, Nujabes was able to fuse hip-hop and jazz in a way that is often imitated but never replicated. He's one of a kind. Whether he's laying down a punchy, gorgeous instrumental or letting the beat ride under an incredibly talented underground MC, he always knows his place and he always knocks it out of the park. Almost impossible to pick what my favorite Nujabes song or project is. The reason that this one's in the video is simply put, it's the only physical vinyl record I have. There's also a compilation, Hideout Productions, but that's not just Nujabes, and that's probably the only reason that it edges out the other 2 studio records he was able to release before his tragic, untimely car accident that took one of the greatest talents in music history away from us way too young. I love that Hideout put out this amazing release, really thick gatefold, with a gorgeous inside, just black vinyl that sound immaculate. They're really doing honor to his legacy, and I hope they continue, and this year they release Modal Soul and Spiritual State with the same level of love and care this got. Finally, number 41, System of a Down, Toxicity. I'm not huge into heavy music, as you guys know. Oftentimes it's a little jarring and hard for me to get into. System is definitely an exception to that rule. This is one of the first bands that I remember calling my favorite back in 8th grade when I wore a System of a Down hat every day like a cult member. Serge Tankian, the vocalist, is up there with Chris Cornell as one of my favorite vocalists of all time. Opera-trained abilities mixed with fierce but clean vocal aggression over incredibly melodic metal riffs. This band is in a league of their own. I love all their albums, but Toxicity is their magnum opus. Huge hits like Chop Suey and the song Toxicity itself are recognizable by anyone, but for me, some of the lesser known cuts on the album really shine, like Prison Song, Aerials, and Aguas. This is another album that I could put on front to back and never really tire of it. It always tends to hit the spot. This was out of print for a very long time, and thankfully, for most people, it got a repress, so everyone was able to buy it for a reasonable price. This right here is an original copy because I'm hardcore like that. But I hear the repress sounds great too. This is just an album that should be in everyone's collection. Alright guys, that is the next batch of albums. Coming up next are going to be the top 40 records, then 30, then 20, then 10. I'm excited. The rest of these albums are going to continue to get better and better and better. And my ordering is going to get more concrete as we go on too. Right now it's a little loose, you know, this could have been in the last video, etc., etc. But as it gets closer to top 20, top 10, those are pretty set in stone, and I love those so wholeheartedly. I'm excited to share them. So make sure you leave a comment with what you liked from this list, and maybe guess what's going to be on the rest of this list now that you've seen so many of them. And there's more videos coming soon, so take it easy.